Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Norton, the founder of People Plus Purpose, and you have found the Truth Behind Dentistry podcast. And today, my guest is Dr. Sam Ahani. Dr. Ahani has a degree in business information systems and has been a practicing dentist for 25 years, owning multiple practices with his wife, who's a pediatric dentist. As a consultant, he helps offices improve efficiencies and increase production. Studying the challenges in the referral process, he is now the founder and CEO of a software company aimed at closing the referral loop. Dr. Ahani has been published in Dental Economics and Dental Products Report magazines, hosts seminars and webinars to help the dental industry become more streamlined and digitized. His ultimate goal is to improve the healthcare system for future generations by revolutionizing the referral process between dentists, specialists, and in the future, physicians. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Ahani.
It's great to be here. Thank you for that intro.
Absolutely. You deserve those things. You've done those things. So you deserve that uh, what's the word I'm looking for? That the acknowledgement, I guess.
I
Uh,
appreciate that. 25 years is a long time, so it is a long time to be in an industry. So I think I've done quite a bit. I haven't really practiced for quite a few years, but I'll still own practices, and I like to think that I'm in the breast of abreast of everything that's going
yeah,
on in the
yeah.
industry.
That's great. You're not only that, but you're also hanging out in San Francisco near the bridge today. So that's
I thought I would just hang out near the bridge, and so everybody could see what's going on over here.
yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, so maybe you could give us just a little bit of background. We kind of covered some of those things in the introduction, but your background as it especially has led you to work on this referral problem in dentistry.
Yeah, so I've told the story many times. I'll try to make this short. Like, my brother's an endodontist, my cousin's an oral surgeon, my wife's a pediatric dentist. And, for all these years, we like to run a pretty tight, practice. And one of my pet peeves was always like when patient would come in, I would spend an hours of my time, like, treatment planning them. It's a big case. And then I would refer them to, one of my relatives, and we'd hand them a piece of paper and they'd walk out the door, and I'd walk up to my front desk and go, "Hey, Jeanette, please make sure we get, Mr. So-and-so back." And I knew she had no way to track this. And, 2, 3 weeks later, I'd wake up and I'd be like, "Hey, what happened to Mr. Anderson?" She'd be like, "Oh, let me check." And she'd call the office. This referring office didn't know that they were referred. We didn't know how to follow up with the patient, and the patient was sort of like left to their own devices. So a lot of these patients would fall through the cracks. And in the studies that, all the studies that have been done, it's like paper referrals are about 50% effective. So that really, made me kind of really, try to solve this problem, because my specialists were like, "You're sending me, 10 referrals a month." I'm like, "There's no way I'm sending you 10. I'm sending you at least 20. Like, where are these?" And they always thought that it's just the ones that show up, but that's not it. There's a big gap in between.
Yeah, so people wouldn't show up over there, or sometimes they would show up, but then there would be a disconnect even in getting back to you or getting back to you with all the records, with all the information that was needed, right?
Right. So the thing is that people really understand what this problem means for the specialist, because they're just, not getting as many patients, but they don't understand necessarily what it means for the GP. The GP has a vested interest to have these patients come back, because everybody tends to think about like the crown on top of the root canal, but that's not what it is. It's really to complete the patient's treatment plan. So a lot of times you're sending these people out, to take care of a problem they have to do before you finish, the rest of the treatment. That's what was really bothering me, was that, like, I spend a lot of time with these patients and then they get lost.
Yeah. Yeah, so this referral to the specialist was a a point in a process for people and not an end in and of itself. So even if that fully occurred, it's if it have to keep the full loop going, right? And that kept breaking down.
That's right. And think about it from the patient's perspective. They're scared to go anyway, and they don't know how much it's going to cost. They don't know who's on the other side. And you just, handed them a piece of paper and said, you go deal with this. And it's a much nicer experience if everybody has the information on the other side. The specialist can call them and make them an appointment, answer their questions. It's just a much better patient experience. And we found through our data that we can increase the conversion rate on these referrals by about 60%. It's not the software, it's the fact that everybody has the right information at the right time. The patient has it via text, the specialist gets it via email, and everybody has the information.
Yeah, well, makes sense to me. Like, so why have we been stuck? Why the issue? Why is that not getting hasn't been getting solved? Thus, you needing to step in and help solve it. What are we still doing with paper?
So at first, I thought I was solving a very simple problem. Like this should be easy, right? There should be some easy way to send a referral. But actually, what it turns out to be is that any software product that's ever been invented for this, and there haven't been many, most of them are not familiar. They're not easy. So what happened was that we suddenly realized that we're not competing with other pieces with software. What we're competing with is paper, because paper does have its advantages. It's very easy to use, right? You just fill it out, you hand it to the patient, you think you're done, but that's really not it, right? The next step is you have to scan something, send it to the specialist. They call you for insurance information, they call you for x-rays. So if you put all that together in a very easy like way to do it, that's like easier than paper, you attach documents and you hit send, and it goes to this patient and to the specialist. What you've really done is made it much easier than paper. So we had to really be cognizant of the fact that we don't need to build in a lot of features. What we need to do is make it easier than paper. And I like to say, by the time you go get the referral pad, you've already sent it on our platform to the patient and to the specialist, and you're done.
That's great. That's great. So maybe you could walk us. We're going to do a little demo
Sure.
in just a little bit, but maybe you can walk us through just verbally through the process briefly of what's making this electronic process that much better than the paper process.
Right. So what we ended up as what we focused on for the first 2 years of this was we already knew that the specialists would have a lot of, would get a lot out of this, right? But what would the GPs get out of it? So we're really actually focused on making this process easy, functional for GPs to use. Because without them, without a GP sending, it doesn't matter what it looks like on the other side, right? And
Right.
that's one of the reasons that it's hard to solve this problem, is because you got to make it easy and seamless for both sides. So one thing we realized that didn't exist in dentistry was that we need a database. You need to be able to go into our platform and search for any specialists nearby,
Mhm.
and be able to send to them. And we should have all that information. You shouldn't necessarily have to enter all that information, and that makes the process easier. And the other revelation was those referral slips need to be standardized, because specialists, if you look at referral slips and any kind of like electronic referral format, everybody's is customizing it. So it means the poor assistant, every time it's a different form.
Mm.
Okay, so they never get used to the form, because every specialist has a different form. With our platform, what we've done is we've standardized that referral slip based on like common information that everybody's asking. It's not rocket science. It looks the same, it feels the same for every specialist. So now anybody who comes onto our platform, is very easy for them to fill it out. So GPs have all their referrals now in one place, so they have that, and the specialists have the referrals that you send them all in one place on a dashboard. So that's the process.
So it's helping the patient on the one hand be connected in kind of a better, almost hand holding, or they're kind of escorted a little bit more officially through the process, right?
I would say, think of it like this: if you had those specialists in house, how would you like that handled? And we're trying to create that process. Like, you wouldn't just hand a piece of paper if that specialist was in house. You would just schedule them, right? Or
Right.
have somebody call to schedule them.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to replicate what, all the big, guy Kaiser does. Kaiser doesn't hand you a piece of paper. By the time you get to the car, somebody's on the phone calling you to make an appointment for that specialist, right?
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to enable that. We're trying to enable specialists to be able to give, and GPs to be able to give the patient a much nicer, I call it a warm handoff. That's what we used to call it in the office. From one person to the next in the office. Well, it's exactly the same thing. You're handing them off to the specialist.
So for the patients, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, anything that helps them with a warm handoff, the better. You kind of talked a little bit about the GPs and the specialists and kind of how this is playing out a little bit differently, but maybe talk to us just a little bit about the business advantages for each of those sides of the equation using this approach.
Right. So from the specialist side, it's very easy to understand, right? They can convert these patients at a 60% rate. So 60% higher rate than they used to with paper. So if you compound it with the fact that they actually see every single referral and they can convert them at a much higher rate, I mean, you don't have to be a mathematician.
Mm,
They're seeing every single referral and they can convert them much better because they have the patient's information. So on the specialist side.
right.
On the GP side, the more patients convert and do their treatment, they're coming back to you, right? To finish their treatment at your office, right? So there is a component of that there. There's a HIPAA compliance component of like every referral that's sent basically today is sort of like shady area. There is the legalities of like what happens when a patient doesn't make that referral, who's responsible, what if something happens, those kind of things. Paper referrals, you write the tooth number and it's like 13 looks like 14 and now somebody does work on the wrong tooth, scribbling, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So there's and patients oftentimes are like, I was never referred. You can never really prove that you gave them a piece of paper, even if it's in the chart, right? So there's a lot of reasons why both sides would benefit from a nice, easy, simple system. I focus mostly on patient experience. So our patients get the text. Everybody expects a text. Nobody expects a piece of paper anymore. And they get reminders that they need to, if it hasn't been scheduled, they get reminders to schedule, things like that. They get the referral form. So now they have it on their, they have a copy of it as well. So I think from all sides, this makes a ton of sense. We just have to kind of bring the industry around to, this is not anymore the time of paper.
Right. Yeah. I often feel like that we have more communication options available in this day than we've ever had in the history of humanity. And yet, I still feel like communication is often poorly done and sometimes seems worse, actually, given all of the technological possibilities. But I just really appreciate when an experience can be more seamless, right? I mean, it feels so much more professional when you can really bring people together. All the information that was needed was delivered, and people feel like, wow, that was well done. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about what you're offering because I feel like it's much more likely people are going to go, that was well done. That was professionally handled. I feel like I was cared for.
It's a much, again, goes to patient experience, but I'd love to take a minute and speak to that because the reason that dental is behind many industries in this respect is because none of the softwares play well with each other.
Mm,
Nobody wants to give, nobody wants to give integrations. Everybody is trying to like hold on to their piece of the pie. As a result, the poor dentist has to go in and have like 9 different platforms. One is for this, one is for that, one is for the other thing. Until these softwares are opened up and people allow integrations more easily with this software, with their software, this problem is gonna persist. And I do see that in the future, the disruption in the dental market will be somebody who creates something that's kind of open source and everybody can utilize it. So that's how I see. But I do see that that's our biggest problem. That's why we're behind in a lot of respects because the software that we use, that none of them play with each other well.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's even, there's tools for, you know, uh, communication within the office, from front to back. But I think there's also just a lack of, I mean, it's very local and personalized for the doctor with the patient right there, or with the assistant, or once we start to expand further, even within the office, let alone outside the office, it seems like there's more of a challenge, maybe just based on the nature of the type of relationships that are formed within a dental practice. I don't know
That's
your thought on that, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, we do communicate, right? But the communication is like we call the other office to tell them stuff. We text the doctor. The doctor takes a photo of the of that X-ray and sends it to the other. What do you think of this? And yeah, it works. It's not like it doesn't. I mean, we make it work, right? But shouldn't this all be in one place? Like all that communication be like in one place and sort of like made easier. So that's really what we're trying to do. We're very good at making what we have work. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's and I think most dentists and practices do an amazing job, because if I told you how it really actually works and the fact that it actually works, you'd be shocked. Like, did you know? I mean, did you know that a lot of times the specialist never sees the referral form because the patient makes the appointment, they have the referral form. When they go there, they don't bring it.
Uh,
So the specialist either has to go through that. Now that the clock's running, they have to try to get that referral form from the GP or take the patient's word for it. I didn't even realize this until I started interviewing a lot of people. They're like, oh, a lot of times we don't even see the referral slip. I'm like, 25 years, I never thought of that. Like,
it's like that game telephone where by the time you've exchanged hands a few times, the story isn't even
that's
at all.
exactly it. I just as soon as you said it, I was like, exactly it. That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. You made the effort to get something specific down, and all it is I was told to show up here, right? And the person go, "What are you doing here?" I
I
was
need an
told to show up.
apical colostomy on number 4,
Yeah. So before we go into the little demo here, is there anything else from a process or benefit standpoint, maybe from a benefit standpoint, that we didn't already cover?
I would just say, one other thing that's very important is like, when you come, when having reporting on what you're referring out is probably pretty important for GPs. Any buyer of your business, the first thing they're going to ask you is what you refer out, because that's really low hanging fruit. Like, for example, you don't do implants, so they really would love to know how many implant cases you referred out, right? So from even just that perspective, just having a list and a way to tell them how many referrals you send out per year is probably is a pretty powerful thing. That's the only other piece that we kind of didn't touch on. Is like, I think that's really important.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, thank you for all of that.
For sure.
I think this is, on the one hand, somebody could say, well, is this rocket science? It appears to be kind of. It seems like it's taken rocket science to get us to this point.
That's what I thought too. But yeah, it is. It appears like it's closer to rocket science. For some reason.
So, yeah. So are you able to share screen there and maybe give us just a little walkthrough? I think you should.
Share screen, sure. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this is what the dashboard looks like. We made it, we want everything to be familiar. So if you're thinking it looks like an email service, that's exactly what it is. Think of it as a HIPAA compliant email service just for your referrals. Okay. On the left here is all the referrals that you've sent out. You can click on them and you can see all the different ones. You can see that there's some statuses on top, and I'll talk to you about that a little bit. You can leave notes for the other office that the other office will see. You can send to multiple specialists at once. There's a lot of functionality here that you can utilize, but I just want to show you guys how easy it is to send a referral in our system. So what you do is you create this create referral button. And what we've done is we've standardized that referral form, as we've said. So this is what it looks like. There's two things that are different about this form. One is this search bar here. It's by location. So if you click on it, you can see all the nearby practices, or you can search for one. Okay, let's say this endo. The other part that's different is that according to the specialty that you select, these reasons for referrals become populated. Okay, so those are the only two differences. Anybody in the office will know what this referral is and what they need to do with it. So you just put in the patient's name. Let's say Joseph Smith. Put in the patient's phone number, implant consult, tooth number 7, and then you can you can make any length comment you want to, and you can select, I don't think you see this screen, but you can select anything and attach it to the referral. Can you see all that pretty much?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then the next step is, and this is referrals ready to be sent. That's it. Okay. And then we do the preview. On the preview step, it actually shows you what the other side will receive. So this is like part of our like making sure that you've got the right information in there.
Mhm.
You can also actually see what the patient will get. So this is the exact text that the patient will get. The patient can request appointment on this on their phone. What
Mm.
that does is it sends an email. It just says call the office here, but what it actually does is it sends an email to the refer to office that
Mhm.
says this patient's requesting an appointment, so they with a link so they know how when to call.
Perfect.
And then the patient can even put their insurance information in there. That's very helpful for the specialists. And about 10 or 15% of the time, the patients do. And that's it. You can turn off the patient text here if you want to, but that's it. You hit confirm and send. And now this referral has been sent. So the patient got the text as I showed you.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the specialist side. So we're going to go to this screen here, and hopefully the referral will populate here in a minute. Okay. So they get this email that says Dr. Prince sent you a referral. And when they click on it, it opens up to that referral form. Okay. And that's it. Now this patient has it and the specialist has it. And the specialist has a dashboard on the left side. They get a free dashboard. You are able to send for free and receive referrals for free. The free dashboard that they get, though, is only for 7 days. So if they have a lot of referrals in it, they have to sign up for extra storage. But other than that, most of this is free for your specialist. So you don't have to have a conversation with them regarding sending, having them sign up for the platform, etc. They automatically get a free dashboard. I'll talk a little bit about these statuses here. This says referral viewed. The
Mhm.
GP also on the other side will see this, meaning when they click on that link, you see that the referral has been viewed. The
Mhm.
GP, the specialist can now mark it as scheduled. You will see it on the other side. You can mark it as complete, and the other side you will see it on the other side. So that's how we get the statuses. It's either from the patient who
Mhm.
says yes, I've scheduled this appointment, or from the specialist who clicks on those buttons. Incidentally, you can just leave notes for the other side. Do thank you so much. Okay. One last thing I will show. We made it very easy for you to actually, for the specialist, if they want to send their final reports through our system, they can just attach it here
That's
and
great.
select refer to doctor, and it says send final report. And now the other side, I'm going to switch back to the other side. We'll have everything all in one place.
That's great.
Okay, so that's our little demo here. I don't know if you want to see any more than that, but that's really the gist of it. It's just a very easy way to send a referral to anyone.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think in its simplicity, it's great. So even though there may be some more nuances to it, I think that's probably a great initial overview for our viewers to be able to see. Um, Anything else you want to add about it?
I mean, I just want people to understand it's all about simplicity for us. There is some things that it can do, but really I'm picturing an assistant running or the front desk with people in front of them trying to fill out this thing and how to make it much easier for them than even finding the paper. And that's really what we've tried to do here.
That's great. Well, awesome, awesome work, Dr. Ahani.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
It's become a kind of a passion thing. I didn't think it would. So my goal is to like replace paper in dentistry. So it's become kind of a mission.
great. It's certainly my hope that this will really catch on and people will take full advantage of what you're making available. For everybody who's been watching and appreciated our conversation as well as the demo there and would like to know more. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you and maybe either request a further demonstration or to take an initial action with you?
You can go to our website, refera.com, and there's a place there where you can request a demo and stuff. And Refera is 1R, by the way, refera.com. And if anybody wants to email me for any reason, it's sam@refera.com, refera.com.
Well, that's great. I feel like, back to our initial introduction, there's a lot of things that you have done, a lot of things you do, And I'm really excited about this particular piece that you're contributing. I think you're solving a long-term problem, and it's nice to actually have a true solution for something like that.
I appreciate that. We're working very hard, so any support from you guys means a lot to us. So appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. So this is Matthew Norton, and we have been with Dr. Sam Ahani, and this is the Truth Behind Dentistry podcast, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.